one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Hey everybody, it's Sam, and we have a very special episode for you today. As you all know, last week we had our MagicCon Las Vegas recap episode where we talked about the convention, we talked about what we did every single day, we talked about all the events that we did. One of those events was our live show, our first live show that we ever did to a fantastic crowd. It was so much fun. I really wish that every prospector could have been there and listened to it. So we did bring a recorder. The rooms that we were in didn't have the capabilities to capture our audio, so this isn't the highest quality mic, but we did bring a portable recorder and set it down in front of us on the table, hoping it would pick up something. Well, Tony and I listened to it last week, and honestly, it's not too bad. I mean, it definitely sounds like there's just a recorder sitting on a table in front of us. You know, you'll hear us like fiddle with booster packs or like tap the table every once in a while. But overall, you can hear it all. You can hear everything. You can hear the audience a little bit. You can hear the full salty stories. You can hear like the energy of the room. It's not going to be the crispy audio that you're used to on this show, but you still get to be there in the room with us and experience the live show. Also, I should mention that I completely pulled a mic here and forgot to start the recorder when we kicked off our live episode. So we got maybe like 2 or 3 minutes in. The only things you missed are, unfortunately, me reciting the intro to the show and singing the intro music live. So you do miss out on that. And a little bit of banter in the beginning. And then I start the recording. So we're going to kick this off with me kind of realizing that the recorder was not playing. But don't worry, you only missed like a couple minutes of the show. Okay, here we go. Without further ado, here is the live show.
Oh, man.
You missed the intro, sorry. It was Mike's fault. What'd you say? Hello?
Yeah, howdy.
Howdy indeed. And before we go any further, we're not going to shout out the patrons today. Sorry. This is a bonus episode. Get wrecked. But we do want to just thank everybody for coming out. And like, this is crazy. We as you can see, we have like some things to give away. We set up 50 cards for the giveaway, and we already gave them all out. So there's surplus of 50 people in here, which is nuts.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So apologies to the people who didn't get one, but thank you for everybody for coming here. It's nuts. Everyone having a good convention so far? Awesome. Before we just want to rip right into it? Do we have banter?
We could like thank more people for like 10 more minutes.
Okay, yeah.
My mom, Diana.
Thanks, Diana. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know where to
I'd really
look.
like to thank the Academy for this wonderful
Yep, get the EGOT.
Yeah.
So we have 3 lovely salty stories. We only have an hour for all this. So we're going to try to go through it at a decent clip. Hopefully these microphones pick up our lovely voices and you guys can hear us all. We got 3 salty stories we're going to try to get through. We're going to try to do a salty card of the week, and then we're hopefully setting aside 5 to 10 minutes at the end to give away some awesome merchandise. Mm-hmm. Diana and the Wizards of the Coast team were kind enough to give us 2 boxes of Bloomborough collector boosters. We've got a Commander Precon. We got a set of Howling Salt Mine sleeves. And we've got a bunch of the original Salty Treasure tokens that I found in my desk. And we also have 3 original Sam tokens that I used to play with before we started mass producing tokens. So,
but wait,
fun stuff.
Before we get into it, Sam, you talk about salt. What is salt?
Great question, Tony.
We know the important questions here. We understand them.
Great question, Tony. And thank you for asking. Salt is frustration in the game, as we like to say. It's anything in a game of Magic the Gathering that's going to get you salty, get you frustrated, get you a little pissed off.
I should say now that we're going to try to be a little PG-13 today.
Yeah,
a little PO'd. And, it's you're getting pub stomped in a game with your pre-con. Someone's got Thassa's Oracle down. You're getting staxed out in a game. Maybe someone plays a Dictative Erebos because they're a little salty and they need some revenge. It kind of ruins the vibe of the afternoon. That's never happened to us.
Panel room. You get stuck in a draft right before you.
Rest in peace, Florian. Oh my gosh. And we mentioned it before the show, but we are in the market for new favorite Germans. So if you know,
let us know.
He's defected. But yeah, we talk about salt so that we can learn from it and hopefully not be salty in a future game of Magic the Gathering. It's an edumagicational podcast, as we like to say. Well, should we jump into it? Should we rip into some stories?
Do you guys think we should jump into it?
Yeah, should we get into it? Should we get to the salt? Okay, let's do it. Let's see. Where do we want to start here? Oh, also, thank you to everybody who submitted a salty story. We got 7 salty stories submitted. Obviously, we can't read them all, but we do appreciate it. Let's start with this one. This one just spoke to me. This one is called From Pompous to Pissed, featuring Jeff and his Angel deck. And this one comes...
It's not mine!
Oh! From Chameleon. Heck yeah. We'll have a special collector booster for you afterwards, so find us. And the story goes. This is going to be funny because I'm going to trip over things and have mistakes and it doesn't get edited out. Sam in the editing room, can you make me sound smarter? Greetings, fellow miners. I've got a story for you today, pulled straight from the sodium-infused depths of my local game store. It all started very normal. I sat down with 3 strangers and we agreed to play a casual game of Commander. Honestly, I thought it was a great game. Each player got to do the thing, and even though I didn't win, I had fun. Sadly, one of the other players, let's call him Jeff, did not have the same experience as me. He spent much of the first game critiquing our decks. He'd say things like, "Oh, I would never run the spell you just played. It's just a worse version of some other spell." Or even, "See, this is why I love playing lower power Commander games, because spells like the spell you just played are actually playable." I think you get the picture. After the first game, I could tell Jeff was trying to hide how upset he was at losing. He proclaimed it was a lucky win, as he had his combo in hand, but was just 1 mana short. Not only that, but he also had interaction to disrupt the winning player's combo. Sadly, he had tapped out and couldn't cast it. We all felt very sorry for Jeff. Despite my better judgment, we then agreed to play a second game. Jeff lights up like a senior citizen who just complained his way to some extra fries at Arby's. Smugly, he says he's pulling out one of his stronger decks to, quote, show us what high-power EDH looks like, end quote. At this moment, I realize I've made a huge mistake. Jeff's high-power deck is an Angel deck, helmed by Avacyn. Oh, Angel is in quotes here. Helmed by Avacyn, Angel of Hope. Player 2 runs an upgraded Grixis precon with Angelo the Painter. Player 3 runs a mono-green landfall deck with Greensleeve's Morrow Sorcerer. I'm playing one of my favorite decks, Rakdos Aristocrats with Logamos? Lagamos? Whatever. Hand of Hatred. I'll mention that I run a few threaten/active treason effects in my deck. They work as both creature removal because I have a lot of sack outlets, and I can potentially untap my commander to tutor twice in a single turn. This will make more sense later. As the game gets going, we quickly learn that Jeff isn't actually playing Angels. Instead, it was an oops all board wipes hard control deck.
Oh my god.
Because Avacyn's indestructible and gives all your stuff indestructible. Yes. Yeah. The game slows to a crawl as no one can keep anything but lands on the field. The Grixis player is having an especially bad time as they can't draw into any blue mana source, other than some mana rocks that were removed. Jeff is living his best life as he tells the Grixis player he doesn't run enough lands, despite having never seen his deck list. After 15 plus board wipes, we were all out of gas with nothing but lands on board. Jeff 15. Are there 15 white board wipes? There must be at this point.
Yeah.
Jeff finally casts his Avacyn with some extra mana open for protection. I'm about ready to scoop when I draw my card for turn, and it's one of my pet cards, Word of Seizing. Do you have that up, Mike?
I can get it
up. Can you pull that up?
Oh, let me just Google it.
Make sure to put MTG card in the Google search terms.
I could have done this one without looking it up. This is a Brian All-Star. It's Word of Seizing. It's 3 and 2 red for an instant with split second, untap target permanent, and gain control of it until end of turn. It gains haste until end of turn.
The split second is going to be clutch, I believe. Yes. The trap is set, so I put on my best poker face and wait. We circle back to Jeff's turn, and he slams World Slayer down on the table. I swear he was barely able to contain himself. I don't know if we need to look up World Slayer. It's the artifact equipment that whenever you attack, you destroy everything. And then with Avacyn, it stay alive and all that kind of stuff. So, no response. Oh, this is a quote here from our buddy Jeff. No response? Wow, you guys really need to run more removal. He squeals as he equips World Slayer to Avacyn. He moves to combat, connects for 8 damage, and the World Slayer trigger goes on the stack. Jeff smiles wide and unironically says, GG, nerds. Now is my moment. With a face that can only be described as, you fool, you've activated my trap card. I look Jeff directly in the eyes and tell him to wait. I have a response. Confused, Jeff tells me it's too late to do anything as the World Slayer trigger is on the stack. I ignore him and cast Word of Seizing, targeting Avacyn. Predictably, Jeff doesn't bother to look at or read my spell before smugly dropping some protection spell on the table. Again, I get the sweet, sweet satisfaction of telling Jeff that he cannot respond to Word of Seizing as it has split second. He reads my card several times, and I can feel his frustration rising. First came denial. That can't be right. That's not how this works. A quick Google search. Hey, shout out to Google, you know?
Scryfall's not going to give you that one.
Yeah. A quick Google search confirms that it does indeed work that way. Then came anger. This is such bull poop. Your deck isn't even good. This card is unplayable trash. Why do you have it in your deck? Etc. Not done yet. Jeff moves on to bargaining, the third stage of grief. He casts his protection spell on Avacyn anyway, who's now on my side of the table. He confidently claims that giving her protection would end the Word of Seizing effect and bring her back to his side of the table. No one is buying it. That's some like summer camp stuff. I then point out that I have a high market in play and intend to sacrifice Avacyn once the World Slayer trigger has resolved. Jeff, realizing he's lost, moves to the fourth stage of grief, depression. With a sullen expression, he silently grabs his cards, throws everything into his bag, and leaves. The other 2 players thank me for the interesting game and scoop, giving me the win. While I don't plan to play with Jeff again, I will forever treasure his memory, and I hope that he will one day be able to reach the final stage of grief, acceptance. Well written. Really? It's good. Send us more salty stories. It's a joy to read.
I think the thing I resonate the most with in this post is like how many times I've had a card that is an unfavorable effect, and I just keep reading it, hoping it's gonna change how it works. Wait, what does it do? Like, one more time? Just read it to me again. Like, it can't.
So you're saying you identify with Jeff in this story?
So little.
Oh man, this is such like a classic salt of just somebody. Magic players love to say like that card that is kicking my ass right now sucks. You know, like your deck is so bad, even though I'm losing to it right now. It's just a fluke. It would have never happened. I mean, it's just it's such a good. That's why I picked it as the first one. It's just. Ooh, it's that perfect salt.
I think the gall to have a World Slayer trigger on the stack and then say Word of Seizing isn't playable is like...
Yeah. Right? It's so true. So there's a lot going on here, right? Let's break it down from top to bottom. The first sin of this Jeff character is really and I think the thing, personally, like, board wipe decks suck, right? Like, that's a salty experience.
Yeah.
But the thing that really gets me is the little critiques at the beginning where he's like, oh wow, yeah, low power is so cool because that's where we can see this crap that you're playing. Like that's very interesting. Like that, man, that just gets me so bad.
I think it's like a whole theme through it too. Like they're commenting on other people's decks not having enough lands, like all these pieces. It's kind of like a light main character syndrome of like I know everything.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, but they didn't have enough land, so I think that
True. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Yeah,
Now
that's a really good point.
Really
though.
thinking.
And they didn't run enough interaction. I did notice.
So good. Word of Seizing, not interaction.
Yeah, not interaction at all.
Do you guys run split second stuff in your decks?
Word of Seizing. Brian
Really?
All-Star, yeah.
Brian
I
hasn't
haven't played
seen
Brian
play
in 2 years, but I have to talk about that. But yeah, split second, love it. But
It's
I
like
mean, Word of
so
Seizing and then
potent.
Angel's Grace is kind of like
You know-
the classic example.
And Crossing Grip, right? Does Crossing Grip?
There's the black one that exiles a card from target player's
Extirpate.
graveyard.
That's a good
yeah.
one.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that one in CDH
deck
deck for a little while. I think that would be. I don't know.
It would probably be
Put it on
not that
this
good,
list.
but
Yeah.
I want to put it in there. I just like being like a certain word to blue players.
Fudge blue players.
Yeah, like, there we go. I was like, I couldn't even think of another word that starts with that. I love to be able to like do something and have them be like, nope, you can't do anything. Actually,
Yeah,
get
I
wrecked.
feel like, honestly, I should be playing more. I don't even think I have Crossing Grip in my decks, and that's like an EDH All-Star. That is like classic,
classic.
right? It's like every precon almost.
Well, I think it's funny because like the whole game, part of what makes Magic so enjoyable is that back and forth. Like you get I play this, I interact, like stack battles, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And for there to be the mechanic that's like, I don't want to deal with any of that.
Yeah.
I want this to happen, and now it happens.
It's really the shortcut of like I hold priority, so my spell resolves like summer camp rules, but they printed it on a card. So you can live the dream. Yeah, I mean, Word of Seizing, that's spicy. It is 5 mana though,
It
right?
is. Yeah, it's 5 mana.
That is pretty rough, but hey, what can you do?
In my head, it was like 3. I was like, great, I'm gonna put it. No, I'll probably
Dude,
not.
three, like
two red.
like your base threaten effect is 3 mana.
Yeah, you can't just slap split second on that.
And
Yeah,
power creep until the SpongeBob set has that, dude. Word of jellyfishing, am I right? Oh man, so let's keep going with this one. So we have Jeff. He's critiquing all these lists, and then of course they play another one, and he's like, "Well, time to really just turn this afternoon into a
grind fest.
a bad one.
bad time for everyone.
And the man, there's like a certain amount of evil with the Oops All Board Wipes deck. Like you're just waiting for people to scoop, you know?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this because what
Because
we
you
say.
like playing.
Because you want to play
all
Vegeta
right,
Land.
all right. It's a separate thing. No, I think like we talk all the time about like, hey, if you're gonna run board wipes, if that's gonna be your strategy, capitalize off of it. Win somehow.
Yeah.
And this player got like halfway there. They're capitalizing off of it. They're benefiting. They're the only one with the board. But they're not finding the way to win off of it. So it's just a grind fest.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to do both parts. You have to capitalize and then convert that into a win. And if you're not going to do that, at least don't cry when the Word of Seizing gets played.
I mean, it's a deck built for punishment, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a deck where you're like, this is going to be a fair game. Like you're playing that specifically to make people salty and get them pissed off and frustrated.
I'm going to use
be unpleasant.
the fact that we're a live app and we can never do this. Did they call it an angel deck?
They called it an angel.
Yeah. See,
That is
that's the thing.
deceitful. Yeah,
That's
deceitful.
like-
That's an evil thing.
But I mean, you guys, the commanders and angels. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You missed that
Jeff's
part.
advocate over here. Was Jeff's real name Tony? Is this a pseudonym to keep him safe?
R.I.P. Jeff.
Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah, that is. I don't know. It's just. And then just like the constant berating, like you guys need to run more removal when there's no response to the World Slayer trigger. It's like, come on, man. We were just talking about this in a recent episode where people are like, well, you got to run more removal. It's like, yeah, I can have so much removal in my deck, but if I'm not drawing into it, ooh, we're getting a little mic feedback. Is it this guy?
Turn off. There you go.
Is that? Maybe it was that. Who knows? Hey, we're making it work. But like, I feel like if you're not drawing into it, there's not an argument to be made there, you know?
Or if it's like destroy removal or like you're limited in what you can do to an Avacyn, right?
For sure.
You have
you
to,
don't
like,
have
exile it
bounce
or
effects or
something,
exile
bounce it,
effects. And like, especially the on-holo player who doesn't have blue, it's like, well, maybe they have bounce effects in hand, but just can't get to it.
It's an on-hello Grixis.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't have the blue mana.
Yeah, they didn't have blue mana sources because the rocks were dying. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
I feel like that's such a you moment of like, oh, why didn't they have blue? Because all that's getting blown up. So I get like, we're there.
This pot had no blue mana on the board. That's the problem.
No blue mana.
That's the problem.
Well,
they could have solved it with one.
Blue is a great color for cool people.
What do we think about the salt rating on this one?
Oh man, I mean, it's. I feel like this is your classic table salt. This is like an experience. Everyone knows the taste of this. You know, I feel like everyone's been in a pod with a Jeff. You've had that experience where someone is like, kind of talking out of their ass. They're saying their butt. Saying
you said it more than me, so
it's PG-13. You can say that, and I think so.
Talking a lot about donkeys.
Oh gosh, yeah, exactly. I'm talking about a mule.
I see.
But like, I just feel like that's the classic salt that you get. Like everyone's experienced that salt. Everyone's had, well, maybe not everyone's had a game against a board wipe deck. Has show of hands. We haven't been able to do this either. Has everyone played a game against a board wipe deck? Nice.
All right, now the real question is keep your hands up if it was more than 2 board wipes in the game. Okay. Because to me, a board wipe deck is like, oh, you had a board wipe in there. Like, that's a board wipe.
Yet you defend Jeff. That's why I'm so confused. You hate board wipes.
You were the one playing the board wipe deck.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So don't play.
Yeah.
3 sickos in the audience. Good lord. But yeah, definitely high salt for me, but like typical salt. Like if someone busts out a board wipe deck, and if they've been spitting horrible game like this for a while, I expect it to be incredibly unpleasant. You know?
Yeah.
I think the mistake, not to throw you under the bus here, Chameleon, you went for the second game.
I think the real thing here is like the just desserts, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get to the end and you're like, oh, okay, get wrecked.
Yeah. You kind of need to accept it at that point. That like, I don't know, that person needs to accept
but,
that they're
I
getting
almost don't want them to accept it. I want them to keep being like, no, it can't be. And like, oh, it is.
Yeah. I think
happening.
it's pretty high salt. I think salt that is from like a player being off is more challenging than salt that's just like game actions that are frustrating.
For sure.
Because like game actions, you can talk that out with someone and like try and figure out a way to have more enjoyable games in the future. But I think kind of the end of the story is kind of what you have to do when it's players that are extremely salty. Is like you gotta maybe not play with them again, and that's kind of the only way to avoid it. Which is unfortunate because you want to be able to play with
people suck. People suck.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the vibe you're bringing to the function,
Also
you're not gonna make a lot of friends. So.
All right. Well, another
Time check.
time check.
2:20. Oh, I wanted to ask this at the top. Guys, the iPad is on East Coast. It's 2:20 in my soul. I wanted to ask this at the top of the episode, and I'm glad I didn't because the recorder was off. Again, sorry, Florian. Who's listening to this. How many people, is this your first episode of Howling Sawman that you've ever heard?
Oh.
Wow. Oh, wow. Well,
welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Some people with the shy hands, like not really trying to
Yeah, like, well, come on down.
Yeah, this is your time to come on up. You have a whole skit planned.
A whole skit. I hope you brought your CDH deck for the live play portion. All right, I got another salty story here. This one comes to us from our buddy Royal Flood. Former Nice Tier member. Now, not so nice. Well, people have heard his name, you know? And I can't read the title of this because it has a curse in it. So I will retitle it. Always has an answer. We'll call it that. And this is a salty confessional. So let's get into it. I, Royal Flood, come to you with the latest episode of Salt that I have extracted with my bare hands. I donned my overalls, strapped on my mining helmet, and performed the unthinkable. Prospector on Prospector Salt. For the new people, that's what we call our listeners, prospectors. We're not like mining Bitcoin or whatever. That's right, I have salted one of my brethren. This tale unfolds on the night of April 26th. Oops, sorry, this This one's been sitting
Recent.
Yeah, this
Fresh-
one's been brewing
fresh salt
in the
from the
hopper
mines.
at 8:40 p.m., which would be 11:40 here. Oh no, it's 5:40. Sam in the editing room made me sound smart. A Friday evening, as I rendezvous with my newest playgroup for some spicy Commander games. This is a new group, including myself and my close friend Ian, Ian's pal Colton, and the notorious Tony-hating prospector Beat Farm.
Fuck yeah, bro! I was specifically told I couldn't say anything.
Screw that Beat guy. You see, as it turns out, Beat Farm and I only live about 30 minutes away from each other. And when we discovered this, we decided to start playing in person. That's very wholesome.
Heck yeah.
I have reason to believe that after this night, Beat Farm would grow to regret this decision. Back to the magic. We're all playing at a local LGS, nice local gaming store.
Let it be known anytime you send in a post, if that's how you do it, Sam always
Always make that joke.
Sometimes
it doesn't make it in. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't make it in.
This time it got a laugh, so that was good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe now we keep it
Testing
in.
the water too.
Colton is in the first seat with Jetmir. Beat is in the second seat with Faldorn. Myself in third with Sophia, dogged detective. Bark, bark. And lastly, Ian with Tatsunari. The game started off with your usual activities. Green deck ramping, getting out setup pieces, and dropping those big dogs.
Was it emphasized or did you emphasize?
It's in caps.
Okay, cool.
So I think that was the appropriate emphasis.
Emphasis on the syllable.
After a few turns, it came back to me, and with my dogs ready to bite, and what I would describe as too many blockers. So, I overload a Winds of Abandon and open up the way for my attackers. Beat Farm sighs and starts to search for his basic lands. I turn to him and say, dude, don't be upset. I'm helping you ramp. My pickaxe has hit the salt vein. For people who don't know Winds of Abandon, it's a... Do you want to read it, Mike?
Yeah.
It's spicy. You should know this card.
It's Path to Exile
put
with
it in your
overload.
notes.
So you just exile
Yeah.
these things and they get basics.
Exactly. It's
I'm not
like,
gonna read it.
It's like the weird mix of Path to Exile and Cyclonic Rift. It's Cyclonic Rift at home and in white.
Yeah.
In the next few rotations, the three other players have correctly identified me as the threat and have started discussing their plan to round up these dogs, also in caps, with a W. Colton's...
I was actually going to ask. It
really was?
Yeah, I'm doing my job here.
Yeah.
Colton states he can take care of my board state. Beat Farm then rebuts with, it probably won't even matter. He most likely has an answer. He always has an answer. This was the moment that I learned I could never play poker. I almost immediately broke out in laughter as I stare at the Teferi's protection in my hand. Beat and I make deep eye contact.
Nice.
Lovingly.
Okay.
And I know he knows. However, I was able to control my face enough for Colton to cast Hour of Reckoning. I say deuces, and the other players' boards are yet again reset.
Oh, no.
But we aren't done yet. The game progresses, and I'm starting to get beat up on. Beat Farm has yet to have any splashy plays, wow, or game warping moments. Dang.
Sounds like he's the fourth player, folks.
Yeah. Get fudged. He thinks it's finally time. He thinks he will turn this whole salty game around. He thinks I can't do anything because I am all tapped out. He thinks wrong. On his turn, Beat slams down, hit the mother load, grinning and all. I look to my hand and I cast Fierce Guardianship, countering the hit the mother load. Now, I have a confession to make to the mind. I didn't need to do this. It was logically... There it is. This is the confessional. We moved on to the confessional part of the Salty Confessional. It was logically not the right play, and probably led to my eventual death in the game.
No,
but,
it was right, dude. It was so
but I wanted to. No other reason than just because. I mean, after all, Pete was right. I always have an answer. And in the great words of Pete Weber, the bowler, hate me or love me, you watched, because that's all you could do.
That's good.
That is good.
Dude,
That's a bowler?
Yeah, Pete Weber, the originator of the line, "Who do you think you are? I am." If you haven't seen that online, oof, that's top tier internet. That's great. He's like losing his mind and just says some nonsense. Finally, after 11 rounds and 1 hour and 25 minutes of playing, the game finished. So for folks keeping track at home, it's 10:05 now in this game. Tatsunari ended up with the win, and we all packed up our belongings for the night. Beat Farm was a good sport, but definitely salty. As for me, do I regret the crimes I've committed against a fellow prospector? Absolutely not. Am I ecstatic about this newfound friendship and creating plenty more salty stories in the future? You bet your buns I am.
Aww.
I did censor that. Aww, warm and fuzzy. Yeah. A little sugar at the end there.
The sugar does not cover up the salt in this scenario.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you and Beat have such a an intense hatred of each
Respect
other.
the feud.
Yeah, exactly. But
Love you too, baby girl.
but in this story, I think that you really identify as Beat because we're all always countering your stuff and messing your day up.
I can imagine you saying, you have literally said, Mike always has an answer. Yeah. And that was after you got silenced by 2 other people.
Yeah, that's interesting because from my viewpoint, I was like, oh, I feel more like Flood, but it depends on the deck.
Yeah.
I'm playing Rafine.
You mean because of your
I have
unchecked
answers.
cruelty?
Yeah. Once I drop an Archfiend and everybo's crying, then like I feel better.
Don't even say
I
its
do.
name. I don't want to play that
I do
card.
agree that I do feel like Beat most of the time. I go to do a thing, and then like actually though, he's gonna like claim not, but Mike always has a answer. It's just in my vocabulary. Like I don't know what people
Deal.
We're from New England. It happens.
It's what I do. Originally from New Jersey though, so that comes out too. What can you do?
Yeah. It's about to start snacking on some gabagool.
Yeah, get a little gabagool.
I mean, we saw this.
Record. This happens all the time when we record.
I know.
And then we cut it.
Like, that's not funny.
So it's like literal.
But we literally saw this yesterday. So yesterday we did the Learn to Play CDH event, and our patron Saratna Sequoia countered.
But that was bull. Turn 1 up. I cast my dark ray. I'm ready to go. And he's like, oh, counter.
Cut his mic. Say and delete that. Yeah, it was amazing. And then later on, you had some other thing, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll counter." And you were going for your win with Agatha's Soul Cauldron Walking Ballista, and you played the Ballista, and we were like, "I think you got to counter it," which was wrong. You didn't have to counter it. You just needed it in the graveyard, right? But
yeah, I let them counter it.
The best part was that you countered it, and then you played Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and Sequoia was like, "I just have another counter." And it's like, we did burn the first counter, but I got another one right here. Like, who even cares? And you were like,
blue sucks.
you were like, come on, man. And you just kept attacking with Ob. It was so funny. Oh, man. You had a line that was like, you attacked with the Ob Nixilis, and I think it was you were like, how big is it? And you were like, well, it's a 5/5 for now, implying that next turn it would be bigger and also be attacking you.
Gotta let him know. Can't let him get away with it.
The feud began there. But man, I think this is something that, like, I love this kind of salt. You know, this is the salty confessional that warms my heart. Because there's just something about messing with your buddies, making them so salty, and just having it be kind of as unpleasant as possible every once in a while, because, you know, they deserve it. Like, they did play Archfiend Ifnir in the last game, and, you know, now I gotta send a message.
It's interesting because, like, the closer you are to that person, I think the more frequently you're like, yeah, I am gonna do the thing. Like, I don't need to do it, but I'm gonna do it. That's the difference. If I'm closer to you, I'm definitely doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's also something where, like, when you say something in a game, like, oh, they always have an answer, it's like, well, now I'm going to make sure I do for your stuff. Like,
he always blocks me. Okay, well,
like,
now I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. That also happened.
Yeah, that also happened. But we're not going to also talk on that tangent.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's a good one. This is a tasty little piece of salt.
Well, what do we think about the salt rating on this one?
I mean, I hate to go back to that, you know, tired old well, but it's the salted caramel, man. You know, it's salty in the first bite, but it's sweet at the end, and it's just delicious. I love this kind of salt. It's a good confessional. It's a relatable confessional.
Yeah.
You know?
We've definitely all done this.
Oh, my God. I feel like we did it yesterday.
I think this is a sugar break. Like you can get this is like the salt on the chocolate chip cookie. Like the salt is there for flavor, but it's not like what you're getting majority wise.
Yeah.
It's like mostly that you're like, ooh, that was a fun time. In fact, I added the salt intentionally because I knew it was going to make it funny.
Yeah. This is the yuzu salt on the sushi roll. We went out for sushi last night.
Yeah.
It's fresh. It's fresh in our minds. We'll talk about it at some point. Oh, man. Well, time check. We're doing good.
Yeah,
all right. Let's do one more. One more quick one?
No, one more. Yeah.
And then salty card of the week?
One medium-sized one, actually.
Well, I have a quick one that I want to read.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it for a long time.
I guess. I mean, I could. We could do a longer
There's
one.
no
We'll
rule.
see what the
We
time
can
is.
do
We can do 4.
Let's do the
There
quick one.
is
see
no
where we're
rules.
at.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so this one comes to us from our buddy Bobo Fett. And Bobo Fett is rewarded by giving us the shortest salty story. And this post
It's at the top of the document.
It's at the top of the document I set aside.
Truly a reward.
And the post is titled, "Cut my deck if he pleases. This is my last retort." Incredibly good. That's incredibly good. And the story goes, short and sweet to the salt. We have this guy at the LGS we refer to as Florida Man.
That really can only go one way.
Is it beat or flood? Not to dox, but whoops, but I did.
And that cannot be edited.
That's in there. We can't edit that. He doesn't let anyone cut his deck. If you ask for a cut, he gives this Zangief level from the top rung knuckle dust on your deck, stating, "We don't need that crap here." Huh, I retort. Maybe that's exactly what we need. Hope he didn't dent any of my cards. But he's already on to drawing his 7. And wouldn't you know it, he's keeping. Florida Man is impervious to etiquette. Quite the superpower. Short, sweet, and to the salt.
Hey.
Oh, that's it.
That's it, man. That's it. 2 paragraphs. It was like...
That's interesting, right?
There's a lot here in a short story.
Yeah, cut.
So, first of all, the cut. We were actually talking about this in our Discord maybe like a couple months ago. I'm very much in the camp of like, if I pass you my deck to cut it, I want the cut. I don't want people to tap on the top and be like, it's good. It's like, this isn't a poker game. You don't have to be cool around me. You know, this isn't like an Ocean's 11 thing. Like, give that a little rap of the knuckles. Like, just cut the deck, man. Like, that's for me, it's a critical part of the randomization. I want the cut from another person. And usually if I do that and someone taps it, I think that's to the next person. I'm like, will you cut it then? Yeah.
That's because you're like leading one card at exactly the middle point.
Well,
right?
I have
you
one.
want them to cut it to that.
I have
so
one
you draw
curled
the
Pringle
7.
card, and that's going to be on top.
Yeah, perfect.
So,
Perfect.
but like, how do you guys feel about that? Are you like critical about the cut?
I'm not crazy about it. Like, if you really want to cheat while we're playing Magic, like, come on, bro. Like,
Well, it seems like this guy does.
he definitely does. But at that point, I'm either gonna be like, then I'm gonna make you cut it. Like, like if you're like, I'm not always trying to force people to cut because sometimes it's just a bit of a pain. Sometimes it's for me, it's picking up the bottom half. It's always like the top's fine, and like, you know what I really dislike?
I mean, I'm being kind and sympathetic, but I think that's very
No. If I give you the deck to cut and they just take half, then I'm annoyed.
And they don't piece it together?
That's like how you... Oh.
That's what I'm saying. You got they just
Yeah.
take one half off. I'm like, come on.
You know why people do that? That's
Finish the whole thing.
That's partially etiquette for some people. Some people are
It
like,
is,
I'm gonna touch your deck as little as possible. So that when you go to stack it, if your slippery sleeves are going all over the place because you just did it, like you're the one that...
Then that's on you. Then that's on you.
I feel like they're just lazy. They're just doing like the one half.
When I'm doing it, it's because I'm lazy. But some people out there are doing it intentionally.
So, like, this is like first hand mulligan cut. I'm pretty specific on in-game cut when I'm like tutoring and stuff. I don't care. At that point, it's like let's streamline, you know, because that's when I'm cheating. That's when I'm really sneaking it in, and no one's going to pick up. And I'm like, you don't have to do it. Just wrap it with your knuckles. So
I have found that like as I've played more webcam Magic, when I get in person, I'm just so excited to be in person that I'm like, hey, please cut this. I want this like extra little bit of social interaction
for sure.
And on the flip
it's
side,
the ritual of it. You know?
On the flip side, it's sort of this like weird paradox thing where online, realistically, like people are maybe more likely to cheat depending on who you're playing. Like in some you know, there's been a lot of trouble with people playing online, spell table games. You don't know what you're signing up for, that kind of thing. So like that's potentially where it makes more sense for the cut to like definitely happen more. But it's also the most annoying place to do it because you've got to do like the three
piles and it's like say 1, 2, or 3. You started doing that in real life, and I don't like that.
What are you talking about? This is like one time, whatever.
Let's keep it at that. All right, so the second half of the salty story is the, really like a forceful punch. Bo, you're in here, right? Where are you? Yeah. How hard is this? Yeah.
Like One Punch Man.
Yeah, just like Street Fighter, really smashing it.
See, that immediately rules out he just doesn't want people touching each other's cards.
Exactly.
Because you see him slamming it, so it's not
there
like
is no
he's just
etiquette
like,
there. Like that's, I don't know. That's tough. That's like when people give like the forceful
it's like a dick move. They're doing it so that you won't do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point. He's like trying to...
He's like, look how trustful.
So aggressively that you won't even ask.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you want me to cut? Well, I'll make it unpleasant so you don't ask for the next game.
Yes.
That's interesting.
I think that's why they're doing it. That's why they suck.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then, the cheating accusation, which, I mean, was it a good first 7, Bo? Yeah.
Oh, he's garbage.
So it didn't even matter.
Oh, that's great. I love that. That is great. Garbage. Absolute. Well, you have to say the line.
Yeah, settle down. Take my story. What do we think about the salt rating on that one?
Thanks, Tony. Sam edited that.
It goes so smooth.
I know, there's no delay over Zoom. It's great. I mean, for me, this is salty. Like I said, I really do want people to cut my deck. I don't think it's like a cheating thing. For me, it's like a ritual of playing in person. We all cut each other's decks. Sometimes you make it fun. You make one person cut all the decks. Or somebody gives you a bad mulligan, then you're like, okay, you did a bad job. Now the next person, you make it like a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good. I enjoy it.
But I think the piece that gets, either lost or whatever, it's kind of like you're assumed to be cheating if you're like, I don't want you to cut my deck. And I think unless you're like being open about like, I got a lot of money in this deck, and I just would rather people don't touch it. Like, just voice that, and that's cool. But if you're just being like, no, and like not, I want a little more context and reasoning, and I feel like that's where we all went. We're like, oh, you must be cheating. He's like trying to do the thing, right? I
mean, if
insisting that you don't want to get cut starts to really send some signals.
But if you really don't want people touching your cards, there are elegant ways to still cut your deck and be like, hey, everyone, I'm doing a cut right here. Or, sometimes people, I know I just dumped on the 3-pile thing, but you can do the 3-pile thing.
In the same breath. That's not how that works.
I mean, I don't like it, but you can do it. So, I think there's some elegant solutions there, if that's truly what it is about, which it seems like it's not.
It seems like it's not.
I think the cut is such an interesting piece because it's it's usually your first interaction that you're having when you're playing someone else. Right, you pick your commanders, and then you're sitting down, and it's like, okay, you decide whether or not you ask someone to cut. It's kind of like when you're, seeing an acquaintance that you, kind of know, and you're like, am I handshaking? Am I fist bumping? Am I hugging? Where am I landing?
Am I doing, half of all 3?
Yeah.
I don't really know what's happening.
Definitely that
kind of a bump, kind of going for a hug.
Yeah, definitely that one.
Yeah.
But it is that. It's like, okay, am I doing a super aggressive cut? Am I shuffling their deck? There is that whole spectrum, and you're starting on a sort of weird social interaction. So I feel like a lot of the time there's usually just someone drew their 7 all right, already before cuts, whatever, that's probably fine. But it's the follow up of okay, well, they keep their 7, they're kind of weird about it, they're punching it. I went for a hug and you punched me? That's not what that was the wrong answer.
You just punched my hand.
Yeah.
Well, is it that time of the week?
Tony, let me check. It is that time of the week.
Thursday, lay it on me. What time of the week is it?
It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Every mother...
It's the time of the week where we say, Mike.
Yes?
What's the salty card of the week?
The salty card of the week this week is...
Power creep me higher to a place where spells are free. Power creep me higher. stacks me out with blind obedience.
You picked the right key the first time and everything. Like.
You know, I was like, maybe I could do like a Viva Las Vegas Elvis thing, and then I was like, I'm just gonna sing Creed.
When all else fails, you just pick Creed, man.
It's just like my karaoke song. I'll just do a couple lyric changes here. So
Amazing.
Hired by Creed, if people don't know.
Yeah.
If you don't know, just
So inclusive, Sam. I love you for that.
everyone who likes Creed is definitely included.
Well, thank you, Sam. That was a lovely salty song of the week. The salty card of the week.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. The salty card of the week this week is Time Sieve.
Oh my god! Fresh salt. Fresh salt.
Yeah. So, Time Sieve, it is. Oh no, I had it open in a different tab. There it is. It is a blue and a black for an artifact. Tap, sacrifice 5 artifacts. Take an extra turn after this one. So, Sam, how do you feel about Time Sieve?
I love Time Sieve. It's a really cool card in very high power magic, Andrew. No, it's great. I mean, it's obviously very powerful in Tivit, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where you see it. Kev has it in his really awesome CDH deck. Shout out to Kev.
Not that guy, it's Time Sieve, not Sieve.
Oh, okay.
I retract my shout out.
Actually not cool at all.
Yeah, I'm sieving. I don't know who
He's probably never even
that
solved
guy?
that
He's
card.
sieving. In New England, we say sieve.
It's a regional
It's a
thing.
regional dialect. But I mean, it's very powerful. But it's one of those things that when it comes down, it's so hard to stop because usually they can just at least take one extra turn before you can interact and remove it, right? And like we. Should I wait until we all give our assault race before we talk about our game?
Yeah.
Okay. Tony, how do you feel about this one?
Well, I wasn't in that game, so. Honestly, you know, it doesn't make me that salty. I mean, it's blue, so that sucks, but like,
Yeah.
I always get the toys.
Sure.
But it's also cool in Artifact. You're sacrificing things, Tony.
I do.
You
It does a
love
lot of things I
that.
like doing. The thing that it usually makes me salty about is that I'm too dumb and like I interact at the wrong times.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I gotcha, and they're like, no, you don't, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, okay.
It's usually the like follow on too, right? Because there's blue, and so like they have the backup. They have all
Yeah.
the tools to just like once it happens. And it's like a little boring. Like Thopter Assembly or something just comes down and it's just like me. Like I just take a billion turns and I draw my deck.
Yeah,
and I'm like, all right, whatever.
That is one of the hard parts is that there's so many 2-card combos with it. Is that
Yeah.
it's just like, you get this, you get Sharding Sphinx, you get whatever, Tivit, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mike, how do you feel about this card?
I like it a lot. I do think that one of the frustrating pieces of it is it can often just like stumble into a win. Like if you're playing an artifact deck,
Yeah.
presumably you're going to try and get 5 artifacts in play at some point, maybe even more. And then like you'll be able to play this and just sack them. And then usually more of your cards are going to be artifacts. So like you can do this very non-deterministically, which I think gets seen enough that it's really frustrating.
That's
and like,
also tough because it's so much time. You're like, I would prefer it for it to just be an infinite combo because then I
Yeah.
know I lose.
Yeah.
If you're like trying to find the things to sack turn after turn.
Right,
it's-
you're like, okay, I'll play Icarwell Spring and like all these eggs and
Yeah.
stuff and like try and churn through it. Like you can get there, but it can lead to these super long turns because you're taking a bunch of non-deterministic turns where you aren't like closing
Yeah.
it out. I think the
Then
moments.
you fizzle and everybody hates you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you get to the end and you're like, okay, well, I
Me
tried one more
specifically.
time and I sacrificed all of my artifacts
Pass turn,
and I'm
I
passing
guess.
turn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always the desperation when you actually have to sack Time Sieve itself. That is pretty awesome.
Is it Steve or Steve? I don't even know.
The time card.
The time Steve.
card. Yeah. The time Steve.
Time Steve.
Time Steve. There you go.
So we did have this come up in a game yesterday that I think bears mentioning where we were like, It was just so funny. We were obviously ragging on our good friend Andrew here, but we were playing, and Andrew was like, "Well, I only have one deck with me," and we're like, "Ah, it's fine." He's like, "It's pretty powerful, but it's not trash magic." We're like, "Ah, yeah, of course." Yeah. If people don't know, trash magic is our high power. It's where everyone plays like trash. You embrace the trash. It's a good term.
It's garbage.
Yeah, garbage. So we're playing, and I'm on like my bird deck. I'm just attacking with birds. Nick is really not doing much either. You're on Surdan. You're just like, let's vote. And we're like, yeah. And then Andrew's just like playing all these insane artifacts like Sharding Sphinx. Here we go. Urza,
Mox
like
Amber.
turn 2 or 3 Urza. He's like Mox Amber, Mox
Thopter
Opal,
Assembly.
Thopter Assembly, Sharding Sphinx. So now I have 2 different combos with Time Civ. Play the Time Civ. And we're like, yeah, I mean, you do win. And afterwards, we were like, I think that might be trash magic. He's like, I think it's closer to a 7 than an 8. We're like, with your 2 fast mana resources? Well, I don't have Demonic Tutor in it. Is that the litmus test? So, we're this is my moment to tease you because you don't have a microphone.
I think the real question is, like, did you feel good after you pumped something? Oh, yeah. We know it.
Yeah. You did
Get out here with your little birds deck. Like, I feel bad you're so excited for it.
I know. It still did bird things. I still made birds.
Yeah. Where on the list does this lie?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I would like to know.
Wouldn't you all like to know? And I bet nobody looked it up. On
No
EDH
cheating.
in advance to find this out. But if
It
you're at
is
home,
on the list, right?
yeah, it's on home. So it's on a list. So this is in the top 300 cards
Get my
on
calculator
EDH Rec.
app.
If you haven't pulled it up on your phone already, instead pull out like your calculator or something. Get a
Abacus.
number out.
Yeah, you're abacus.
There's no-
I've never felt more pressure than right now to
Yeah.
get this correct.
Yeah.
You could just carve
You've been on a
into
bit of
your
a
flesh
streak
a
as
little.
well.
I know, that's why it feels worse.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
you can write it down. We're all going to play
I
along
need
at
a
home
second here. I usually don't take this long, but
So top 300 salty cards in EDH on EDH Rec. For reference, this was last year, but 150 was Winota last year. That has shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's like your middle of the road salty card is Winota.
okay. I have mine. I'm ready.
I have mine as well. Can we reveal, Mike?
Yes.
I said 202.
I said G13.
That was our one. PG-13 movies
I
get
know,
one.
we're still PG-13. It's fine.
All right. Does anyone have? Wait. What were they? What were they?
202.
It's 213.
213. Well,
Yeah.
Sam wins.
No, you didn't even let me do the what's the thing?
Oh.
Yeah. Sam wins.
Yeah. What
Does
is
anyone
it?
have lower than 200? Okay. 'Cause, yeah. keep your
Everybody's
hand up.
better than us,
Keep your
that's
hand
what
up.
I-
Who's lower than 150? Who or higher? I guess like closer to
Yeah,
one. Who's closer to 1 than 100?
I don't know what you're saying.
Huh?
He's just going up in tiers.
Who's between 1 and 100? Nice. Who's between 50 and 100?
What?
Who's between
This is ridiculous.
75 and 100?
Damn.
You have 82, and that's correct. It is
82?
You also have 82.
82? Oh my god.
82. Yeah.
82?
Yeah.
Like 100 plus episodes, we've never gotten it right.
That's-
2 people in the crowd. Although
That's
somebody did like
insane.
statistics
Yeah.
once,
Pigeonhole
right?
principle and all
Yeah,
that.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, if you're wondering if your deck is trash
I'm gonna
magic,
give
or
things
if
to you
it's
guys after.
casual, and you're on an 80.
Set those aside. We'll grab another token.
All right, well,
Man.
yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's way too high, dude.
That's way
It's
too
not
high.
that bad.
Yeah, well, that's where it is. I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
It is. It's obviously very good with treasures. It's obviously like a hallmark of CDH
That's
decks.
crazy.
And it's also one of those things that I feel like people will run it, not realizing that it's like one of the premier win cons that you can have in Demir.
Yeah.
So like if you're playing your casual Tibet list, kind of a paradox, but you're playing your casual Tibet list, like you throw that in there and you're like, oops, I won.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true.
Are there that many people playing this card? I feel like there's not even enough to justify being in the
I do
top
think
100.
that's the other piece. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty popular. Like I think it's a
Yeah.
pretty common thing.
And
I
extra
guess I
turns
got a
just
chill
get
pod
people
other than
salty.
Andrew, so
Extra turns just get people salty, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
that's just
true.
the thing.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, I guess it's that exact thing that we always talk about, right? Where it's like you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
Yeah.
And then when you don't win, I'm a sad boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the 20-minute turns, the extra turns, all those kinds of things. Very cheap, very easy to enable. It's got the hallmarks of a salty card.
Yeah. That wraps it up for the Salty Card of the Week. Thanks for playing, everybody.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card. And thank you to all of our prospectors in the audience for tuning in to another episode. I guess tuning into our first live show that we've ever done. Thank you all so much. Hopefully our recording is okay and you can listen to this at some point. I do want to just say, if you want more salty stuff, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/HowlingSaltMine. If you're new to the show and you enjoyed it, we produce episodes every single week. Almost.
That's correct.
Go, careful. Every Thursday we have new episodes come out. We have like 123 out right now. We've been doing this for a while, so jump into the mine. Every week we do 3 salty stories, finish it off with the salty card of the week. I sing a song. If you're listening on YouTube, some of those might not be there because they don't like my parodies. They take them down. There's like 8 episodes missing, but hey, whatever. Spotify, all that stuff. Yeah, I know, the pipes. They're like, this is just Johnny Cash.
Yeah, this is.
You can't play this. But we have like 5 minutes left and we want to do some giveaways. So for the first 50 people that walked in, you all got either a salt blast or a rain of salt. On the back of that card is a number. And we're going to do some random number generation. Right meow.
Right meow. We go in order.
Do you have that, Tony? Yeah. We'll just go in order. So the first 3 that we're going to do are 2 Bloomborough Collector Booster Packs, a Salty Treasure Token. This is our OG Salty Treasure Token that we made. It has our original Howling Salt Mine art from the old days of the podcast on the back. And you're going to get one of my, for people who don't know the show, I draw all of the tokens that we send out and all of our art and stuff. So this is some of our original tokens that I drew for my personal collection that I'm going to be giving out. Some like artist proof kind of things.
I'm going to generate a number. It's 40.
40. Who's 40? Get over here, dude.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, yeah. Give him that one.
I'm the delivery man.
Another one.
20.
Who's 20? Yo, get it, dude. Get that bird.
2.
Who's number 2? Hey, yo, get it, dude. And again, now we're moving on to, we have 2 collector booster packs and tokens.
43.
Get it. Run that over.
17.
17. Want to run that over, Mike? All right, and now we'll
very
do.
Vanna White of you, Mike. I like.
I know. Thanks, Mike. Our beautiful co-host. Next, we have a Duskmorn House of Horror Commander deck. It is the Death Toll one with Winter. # sponsored.
# sponsored. They didn't cancel me yet, so it's fine. It's 8. Who's 8?
Number 8. Get up here. And that's got a collector booster too. And now, of course, the pièce de résistance, however you say that, the Howling Salt Mine sleeves.
I think it's pronounced Sieve.
Yeah. It is
Magus? Is it Magus of the Moon?
29.
29. Get it, dude. Well, thanks everybody, and thank you so much. This is super, super fun. I want to take like a selfie of us 3 with everybody up behind us.
Sure.
Can we do that?
And we also want to thank.
We want to thank Wizards of the Coast for allowing us to do this and letting us be creators here. Diana for being amazing and for helping give us all this awesome stuff. We want to thank my mom. Check out our Bonfire store if you want some of the lovely Howling Salt Mine shirts that people are wearing. If you want sleeves, we got them on our website, howlingsaltmine.com, or thehowlingsaltmine.com will get you there. If you have a salty story, you can send it to us at our Gmail, which is thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. We're inconsistent with with Howling Salt Mine. Or on our lovely website, there's a form. Also, we got to shout him out, our buddy Devin Burnett, for giving us our beautiful podcast art that we rock every single week. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo. He's a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers are buzzed.
And as always, stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step. All right, now we're going to take pictures.
And there you have it, our first live episode in its entirety. Thanks again to everybody that showed up and supported us on that day. It really, really means a lot. And thank you, of course, to everybody that tunes in every single week to the Howling Salt Mine podcast, everyone who supports us, everyone who makes this possible, including our patrons. And we're going to I'm going to shout out the nice tier and then the Salt Packet Plus tier because the intro to this episode was a little bit different. So let me hit that stuff now. And this week we have Accidental TPK, Alex Balix, Crean Bean, Prime Speaker Florian, Dr. Black, ZZ, Thoughtmas Prime, Rothbox, Sire Speedy, Bobo Fett, Bremstone, Captain Cross, Elgo Fogel, Clearbrook, D. Beeson, Gilgamesh, Doug's Dad, Bark Bark, Pez, Swankub, The Quiet One, and Vok. Thank you for all of your support. And if you're looking for more Howling Salt Mine content, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. If you want more ways to support us, you can send your salty stories to our website, which is thehowlingsaltmine.com, or howlingsaltmine.com is also going to get you there, or send them to our email, thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. Other ways that you can support the show is to buy our custom Dragon Shield sleeves from our website, check out our Bonfire store for custom merchandise, or buy our playmats from the Jank Mats guys. All of those links are in the show notes below. Another way that you can support the show, of course, is to give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening, on our social media, all that kind of stuff. Everything helps push us in the algorithm and helps more people find us naturally. We really, really do appreciate it if you've already done that stuff. We see you and we notice you. And of course, we got to shout them out. Our awesome friend, Devin Burnett, for giving us this beautiful podcast art that we rock every single week. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up for a tattoo, 10,000 subscribers or bust. Indeed. And as always, stay salty. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.